There's a place deep within the heart of the library world, far beyond the shelves you've seen before. It's hidden in the forgotten corners of ancient buildings, tucked away in rooms you've never thought to visit. Here, books come not to be read, but to be healed. Welcome to the Restorative Book Hospital. As the moonlight spills through the cracked windows of the ward, casting long shadows on walls lined with fragile, crumbling tomes, you may hear only the soft rustle of pages turning. But there is something deeper here, something far quieter. A quiet that listens, a quiet that heals. You are not a typical librarian. No, you are a book healer, a caretaker for the stories that once thrived, for the pages that have been worn thin by the weight of time, magic, and the stories of other worlds. When you walk into the hospital, you are not walking into a space filled with the usual bustle of patients. No coughing, no frantic calls for help. Just the soft breathing of books in need of your care. They are tired, these books. Not in the way that you might expect. They don't suffer from ink stains or bent spines. No, the afflictions of these books are more complex. They've absorbed magic from realms and dimensions you could never visit. They've carried the weight of stories so old, the worlds they came from no longer exist. Some might say it's strange, this idea of a library where books are patients. But to you, it is as natural as breathing. You know the gentle art of tending to these fragile minds. After all, you've spent your life learning how to heal their wounds. The night begins as it always does. You enter the hospital with only the dim glow of lanterns to guide you, the smell of dust. No, not just any dust. This is dust from other dimensions, from forgotten corners of existence. It's delicate, like the faintest scent of an old memory, one you can't quite place. Your hands, trained in the gentle art of book healing, brush across the spines of the first few patients. They are thick with age, their covers worn smooth as silk by countless years of service. But they are still here, still waiting for you to tend to them. They are tired, their pages aching for attention. You settle at your workbench, the one that's been with you for as long as you can remember. The worn wood beneath your hands seems to absorb the silence of the room, like it too is part of this gentle, quiet ritual. Tonight, the first book you will heal is one you've seen many times before. A thick leather-bound tome with golden letters that have long since faded from the cover. You know its story well, the echoes of the forgotten kingdoms. The magic within this book is ancient, so old that no one remembers where it came from. The cover is cracked, the spine slightly bent, as though time itself has been too much for it to bear. You open the cover with a soft whisper, and there it is, the first thing you must tend to. Dust from other dimensions. It's not a metaphor. It's a tangible substance, shimmering faintly, as if caught between worlds. It coats the first few pages in a thin, silvery sheen. Your fingers brush lightly over the surface, and the dust lifts, vanishing into the air with a faint sigh. You can feel the presence of the dimension it once came from, its energy still lingering in the book's very fibers. This dimension is long forgotten now, its lands erased by time or perhaps by choice. But its magic lives on in the pages, still echoing through the hospital's halls. With every turn of the page, the dust lifts. But there's something else, something more elusive. You feel it, the faintest pulse of energy, like the book is, speaking to you in its own language, a language older than words. It's not the first time you've encountered this sensation. Some books are more than mere objects of paper and ink. They are vessels for memory, for lost worlds and forgotten histories. They can carry the essence of an entire civilization within their pages, an energy that clings to the very fibers of their being. When you heal them, you're not just cleaning dust, you're helping them remember who they are. The magic inside, the echoes of the forgotten kingdoms, is restless. You can feel it, like a heartbeat that hasn't been allowed to beat for centuries. The healing is delicate work, a careful dance of energy and presence. Too much pressure and the magic could snap, unraveling the book's entire existence. You reach for a small vial from your workbench. The liquid inside is a soft lavender color, swirling with the lightest shimmer. Restoration Essence. It's a blend of distilled magic, crafted to soothe and renew worn spells, to mend the tears that time has carved into a book's soul. With a single drop, the essence settles into the pages like a breath, weaving its calming energy into the book's worn fibers. As you apply it, the book's magic settles, the restless pulse dimming into something far softer, far more peaceful. Its edges begin to curl back to life. The book is breathing again. The story, once lost to time, now has the chance to be whole again. There are many books that come to you like this, each with its own story, its own history, its own magic. Some are easier to heal than others. Some require months of work, the careful touch of every single night to coax them back from the brink. Others simply need a brief moment of care, the softest brush of your fingers to release them from their burdens. But there is something special about each one, because to you, every book that enters this room is alive in its own way. These books aren't just paper and ink. They are sentient in their own quiet way. They carry the memories of the worlds they've lived in, and it is your job to help them find peace. The clock ticks onward. The hours slip by unnoticed as you move from one book to the next. The work is steady, soothing. You can almost lose yourself in the rhythm of it. And with each book you heal, you grow closer to understanding the quiet heart of the hospital, a place where stories rest, where memories linger, and where magic finds its way home. The next book is different. You can feel it the moment you touch it. The Dancer's Last Waltz is one of the rare books that came from a world not just forgotten, but lost. A world that no longer exists in any timeline, a place that was erased from the very fabric of reality. Its pages are thin, like the finest parchment, and the magic inside it is fractured, like the broken pieces of a dream. The dust here is heavier, darker. It clings to the pages like a shroud, thick with sorrow. You know this book has been through much. It doesn't just need cleaning, it needs care, healing of a different kind. You carefully open the cover. The ink on the first page has begun to fade, as though the words are being pulled back into the ether, as though the very memory of the story is fighting to disappear. You can feel the urgency in the magic, the desperation of the book's essence. With gentle hands, you begin your work. Each page feels like it might crumble in your touch, but you are patient. You work slowly, knowing that some wounds require more time to heal than others. And as you do, you feel the book's energy shift. There's a faint flicker of light, like the last remnants of a dying star. There's one tool that you cherish above all others in your work, the cloth of starlight. It's not just any ordinary cloth, mind you. No, This one was crafted long ago, in a forgotten age, when magic and the stars were still one and the same. You've never known exactly who created it, only that it's been passed down through generations of book healers, each adding their own layer of care and reverence to it. The cloth is soft, so soft, in fact, that you could mistake it for the finest silk if you weren't paying attention. But it's not just the texture that makes it special. It's the faint glow it gives off, a soft, pale light like the shimmer of distant stars. It is imbued with the dust of ancient moons, with the magic of 1,000 nights. Its fibers have been spun with a spell so old that no one remembers its true incantation. Some say it was woven under the light of the very first moonrise. Others believe it was blessed by the ancient stars themselves. But you know its true power. It holds within it the essence of light, the same light that once bathed forgotten kingdoms and lost worlds. It's said to have the ability to purify even the darkest stains from a book's history, to erase the echoes of forgotten dimensions. You take the cloth of starlight in your hands. It feels warm to the touch, as if it has absorbed the energy of the stars themselves. Tonight, it will work its magic once more. You can already feel the faint pull of its power, like a gentle current that hums just beneath the surface. As you approach the next book, a slender, delicate volume bound in deep navy leather, with a cover adorned with silver sigils, you feel a wave of hesitation. The Astronomer's Atlas. This book holds the stargazing charts of a world that no longer exists. And its magic is volatile, teetering on the edge of unraveling. The pages are marked with strange symbols, constellations that can no longer be seen in the night sky, and they tremble slightly as you touch them. This book will require delicate work, more than the usual dusting. The cloth will be the key. You fold the cloth of starlight in half, its glow intensifying as it meets the air around the Astronomer's Atlas. The silver sigils on the cover begin to flicker faintly, as though they recognize the presence of the cloth's ancient magic. You place the cloth on the cover, and as soon as it touches the surface, it begins to pulse with energy, its light becoming brighter, sharper. Slowly, carefully, you wipe the cloth across the book's cover. The effect is immediate. The faint scratches and scars that mar the once pristine surface begin to fade as the cloth of starlight absorbs them, its light growing steadier with each pass. The glow from the cloth seems to resonate with the faint constellations etched in silver, each star and pattern slowly realigning itself. The energy is soothing, like a quiet lullaby sung by a forgotten world. It's not just the physical surface that the cloth purifies. As you wipe the pages, you can feel the very essence of the book shifting. The cloth of starlight doesn't simply cleanse, it restores balance. It draws out the distortion of forgotten memories, the tangled magic, the magic that was lost with the passing of time. The cloth doesn't just clean, it revives. It breathes new life into the old stories that once resided here, the ones that were nearly swallowed by the void. Each stroke of the cloth is like a brush of light through the darkness, and as you work, you can feel the book's heart, the pulse of its magic, calming, steadying. It no longer trembles in your hands. It is at peace. And you know that once you finish, this book will be ready to return to the shelves, ready to hold the stars once more, to guide the reader's hand through the constellations that still echo through the realms of imagination. The magic it holds, fragile as it may be, is no longer fraying. It is whole again. You place the cloth of starlight back on your workbench, where it rests, its glow dimming for now until it's needed again. Every book healer has their own tools, their own rituals, but it's the cloth that you cherish the most. It's the most intimate connection you have with the work you do. It's a reminder that healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about returning what was lost to its rightful place in the world. You turn your attention to the next patient, a book that has been waiting patiently for its turn. The Song of Forgotten Waters. The cover is damp, as though it has been soaked in the tears of 1,000 forgotten rivers. The pages have begun to yellow, and the magic that once flowed through it is now stagnant, clouded. This book will need more than a simple touch. Its magic is trapped, caught in a storm of memories and emotions that no longer have a home. You run your hand across its cover, and the magic stirs, but it's faint, just a whisper of the current that used to flow through it. You have to be careful. The water magic within this book is volatile, like a river that has been dammed for too long. It threatens to overflow, to flood the hospital with memories of lost shores and drowned cities. It needs to be coaxed gently back into its original form, to find the flow it once had. For this, the cloth of starlight is not enough. You must call upon the tears of the moon. The liquid, housed in a small crystal vial, glimmers faintly in the dim light. You carefully pour a drop onto the cover of the book. The moment it touches the surface, the book shudders, as though waking from a long, deep slumber. The magic within it responds. The water begins to swirl on the cover, the silver veins of the moonlight blending with the pale light from the cloth. The pages soak up the liquid slowly, the magic beginning to unfreeze, to find its rhythm once more. You carefully fold the cloth of starlight around the book, its glow growing warmer. The glow of moonlight and starlight mingle, the two forces combining to soothe the book's damaged magic. The storm inside the pages begins to settle. The rivers, once turbulent, begin to flow gently again, each drop of water finding its place in the story. The pages shimmer, the words beginning to flow once more, the magic reawakening with every passing moment. And then, at last, the book is whole again. The magic has been restored. The story can begin once more. As the night draws to a close, you step back from your workbench, wiping your brow. The hours have passed in a quiet blur, each book bringing its own challenges, its own delicate needs. And yet, as you look over the now silent hospital, a deep satisfaction settles in your chest. The books are resting. Their stories, once lost or broken, are whole again. And tomorrow, more will come. More books that need your care, your attention, your quiet magic. You leave the Restorative Book Hospital as the first light of dawn creeps over the horizon. The night has been long, but you know the work is far from over. The books will always need you, always come to you with their stories, both old and new. And as long as they need healing, you will be here, waiting, with the cloth of starlight, the essence of restoration, and the patience of 1,000 quiet nights. Because this is your life now, the quiet work of healing stories. And in this quiet hospital, magic never truly dies. It only waits. The clock ticks onward, and the moon has shifted, its pale light filtering through the stained glass windows in patterns that seem almost deliberate. Each night the hospital's energy ebbs and flows with the rhythm of time, but tonight feels different. There's a quiet stillness in the air, a sense of anticipation. Another book has arrived, one that has been waiting for this moment. You reach for the next book on your shelf, its arrival long overdue. It is smaller than most, thin and fragile, its pages seemingly weightless. The cover is a faded shade of green, stitched with golden threads that shimmer faintly in the low light. The book is almost too delicate to hold, as though one wrong move could unravel it entirely. This book is known to you, though you have never seen it in such a state before. It is titled The Dreamer's Compass, a book that once guided the dreams of an entire world, its pages containing maps of the dreamscapes that wandered beyond the waking world. Once it was vibrant, filled with shimmering colors and delicate sketches of strange lands, places not bound by the laws of physics, but by the whims of imagination. Now, however, the book is shrouded in shadow. The once brilliant pages have dulled, the vibrant colors now faded into pale whispers of what they once were. The pages themselves are hollow, empty. No longer do the dreams reside within them. You've seen this before. The dreamer's compass didn't lose its magic to age or wear. No, it was stolen from it. The dream worlds within these pages were slowly drained, one by one, until there was nothing left. The magic has been siphoned away, leaving behind only the faintest echo of its once immense power. This is not something you can heal with just dusting or gentle restoration. This is a book whose very essence has been torn, a wound that runs deep into its core. You pause for a moment, sensing the fragility of the book, its empty spaces like voids waiting to be filled. The dreamer's compass has lost its way. To heal it, you must restore the very fabric of its magic. This will take more than the cloth of starlight. It requires a different touch. You reach for a small jar from your workbench, the jar sealed with a silver clasp. Inside, the liquid glows a soft, deep indigo, a swirling, ethereal substance, the essence of forgotten dreams. It's a rare concoction, born from the dreams of those who have wandered beyond the veil of consciousness. It has the power to reinstate the lost magic of a book whose dreams have been stolen, to bring back what was once taken. With great care, you open the jar. The essence inside seems to pulse with a quiet rhythm, like the heartbeat of the dream world itself. You can feel the faintest pull from the book as the liquid nears it, an almost imperceptible draw, as if the book remembers what it once held and longs for it once more. The essence of forgotten dreams drips onto the first page of the dreamer's compass, and at once the magic stirs. You can feel the pulse of the book's energy begin to shift, the emptiness in its pages filling slowly, like an ocean returning to a shore long forgotten. The dreams begin to gather, like whispers in the dark, soft and ethereal, dancing along the edges of the pages. With a deep breath, you place the cloth of starlight over the open book, allowing the glow from the cloth to mingle with the indigo essence. The combination of starlight and dream essence creates a soft, glowing mist, enveloping the pages in a warm, gentle light. The book shudders, its pages turning on their own as the dreams begin to awaken. The first page shifts, and for a moment, you catch a glimpse of a distant land, an ocean made of silver sand, where the waves do not crash, but swirl in endless patterns, reflecting the constellations overhead. It's a fleeting vision, but it is enough to remind you of what this book once was: a guide to the unseen worlds, a compass for those who dreamed beyond the waking. The process is slow, delicate. The book's dreams cannot be rushed. It is as though the very act of restoring them is an act of remembering, a slow return to the places once known, now forgotten. You continue to work, the book's pages turning in a rhythm that is not unlike a heartbeat. With each page you touch, more of the dream worlds return. The maps begin to appear once more, like watercolor landscapes coming into focus after a fog. The once blank spaces now filled with vibrant sketches, drawn from memories that have long since faded. The dreamer's compass is healing, piece by piece. The essence is working its magic, gently restoring the broken threads of its existence. As the final page turns, the book shivers once more. It's done. The dreams are whole again. You close the cover, the golden sigils glowing faintly in the dim light. The book now feels alive again, its pulse steady, its magic restored. The once empty pages are now rich with dreams, filled with maps of lands that only the dreamers can visit. For a moment, you let your fingers linger on the cover, feeling the warmth of the dreams radiating through the pages. You've brought this book back from the brink, restored its magic to its rightful place. It's a quiet triumph, the kind of victory that comes not with fanfare, but with the silent satisfaction of knowing that something once lost has been found again. The night stretches on, and the books are slowly beginning to rest. They have been healed, restored to their rightful state, and now they lie quietly on their shelves, awaiting the next journey, the next reader, the next story. But as you turn to leave for the night, you feel something stir in the air. A new presence has entered the hospital. It is a book unlike any other. It feels heavy, as though it carries with it the weight of an entire world. No, not a world, but a universe. The book is encased in a cover of strange, reflective material, unlike any material you've touched before. It seems to shimmer and shift with every movement, the surface rippling like water caught in a moonlit breeze. The title, etched in symbols that shimmer and change as you read them, is written in a language that even you do not recognize. You approach it slowly, your fingers brushing the surface of its cover. This book does not tremble with the same magic as the others, nor does it have the same resonance. No, it feels alien. This is a book that carries with it something new, something that you have never encountered before. You can feel its pull, its call, soft yet insistent. This book will require something more than just the cloth of starlight, the essence of forgotten dreams, or the gentle touch of restoration. This book needs something else. It needs your heart. The night is thick with anticipation, a charged silence that hums through the hospital. As you stand before the new arrival, the air seems to shimmer, as if the very fabric of the room is aware of the book's presence. This book is different, not in the way that a rare tome might be, nor in the way a long-forgotten relic might be. No, this book feels foreign, like it doesn't quite belong in this space. The way it shimmers, shifting between shades like light dancing on the surface of water, is unsettling, yet beautiful in its mystery. The cover doesn't feel like leather or parchment, nor any material you know. It is smooth and fluid, like liquid glass, constantly changing. The title is unreadable, its symbols never staying the same long enough to be deciphered. The language is fluid, mutable, a language beyond the reaches of any earthly alphabet. It's as though the title has not yet decided what it should be called, and that in itself is a strange thing. You are no stranger to magical books, but you are unprepared for this. The feeling it gives off, an aura of something other, wraps around you, gentle yet firm, like a tether. You hold the book delicately in your hands. The air around it hums, and a faint, melodic chime fills the room, like a bell ringing in a distant dream. You can feel it vibrating with an energy you've never encountered before. It calls to you, but in a way that feels not entirely inviting. It's as though it is testing you, measuring you against something it cannot yet comprehend. You sense its need. It doesn't need healing in the traditional sense. No, it needs understanding. It's as if the book itself is lost, searching for its place in this world, unable to make sense of its existence, its very nature. It's caught between worlds, suspended between the realms of imagination and reality. You have healed many books in your time, books that have been torn, bent, broken, but this one is different. Its affliction is not one of wear, not one of forgotten pages or magic too ancient to revive. This book is not broken by time or abuse. It is unformed. You take a step back, observing the book. Its shimmering surface reflects the dim light of the lanterns, casting ethereal patterns across the walls. You feel its presence, a living thing, yet not fully alive. You know the ancient rule of book healers. You cannot heal a book without understanding its soul. And this book, its soul is elusive, like a shadow slipping through your fingers. You search your workbench for something that might help, and then your eyes fall on an object you haven't used in many years. It's a small, delicate crystal orb, glowing faintly with an inner light. This orb, you recall, was gifted to you by an elder book healer who once told you that it could sense the truth hidden beneath the surface. It's said to reveal the core of a book's magic, to lay bare the essence of its story, its origins, and its purpose. You pick it up carefully, feeling the pulse of magic that hums within. It's warm to the touch, as if the orb itself recognizes its task. As you hold the orb over the shimmering book, the light from the orb begins to shift, dancing across the pages, flickering like starlight caught in a storm. The symbols on the cover blur and twist, melding together before your eyes. Suddenly, the book releases a low, soft sigh. If a book could sigh, and the light in the room shifts. You feel the change immediately. It's as though something inside the book is starting to awake. The orb's light deepens into a radiant, fiery glow, casting long shadows across the walls. And then there is a whisper. I do not know where I am. I do not know who I am. The voice is soft, like a memory half remembered, but unmistakable. It comes from the book itself, yet it doesn't seem to come from any specific place. The voice is everywhere and nowhere at once. The book is speaking, or at least trying to. You feel a cold shiver run through you, but you stand your ground. You have heard whispers from books before, fragments of memories, forgotten spells, but never something like this. This voice, fragmented as it is, carries with it a profound sadness. The orb pulses once more, and the words from the book grow stronger. I was made to guide, but I do not know the way. I was created to hold knowledge, but my knowledge is broken. My world is lost. You are not sure how to respond. Books that speak are rare, but books that are so deeply lost in their own existence, this is a new challenge. This book doesn't have a history, not the kind you can restore. It doesn't carry a wound. Instead, it is a question that cannot be answered with ink or magic. The orb in your hand pulses again, and as it does, the light grows dimmer, calmer. You place the orb gently back on the workbench and turn your full attention to the book. A strange feeling stirs inside you, an understanding that you must be the one to write its story. You close your eyes, the quiet around you becoming a deep, enveloping silence. You breathe in slowly, grounding yourself. A book healer's work isn't just about mending what is broken. It's about listening to the whispers of a book's soul, hearing the stories that are not yet told. You reach out, placing your hands gently on the book. The shifting surface beneath your fingers stills, the shimmer fading into something softer, more solid. There is a weight to the book now, a presence that wasn't there before. You feel the need for guidance, for direction. This book doesn't need magic to be restored. It needs a narrative. It needs a purpose. For the first time, you realize that you aren't just healing a book tonight. You are creating its story. You take the golden quill from your workbench, a tool that you've only used sparingly. The quill, like the cloth of starlight, is imbued with an ancient magic, one that allows you to write new stories into existence. With a steady hand, you begin to trace the first words on the blank pages of the book. The writing flows effortlessly, the ink taking shape on the page as if it has always known where it was meant to go. You write the first lines of its new story, the one it has longed for. In a world lost to time, a book holds the path to a forgotten land, a guide to those who seek to wander beyond the stars. The way home is not through the mind, but through the heart. As you write, the book begins to shift, slowly but surely. The shimmering cover solidifies, the symbols aligning themselves into something more cohesive, more real. And as the book begins to form, the book's voice returns, clearer now, more at peace. I remember now. I remember my purpose. I remember home. The book's magic settles. It is no longer lost. It is no longer incomplete. You step back, your heart full with the quiet satisfaction of knowing you've given this book what it needed most, a story. The book now has a purpose, a guide to the world it will shape. And you, the book healer, have done more than heal a broken book. You've written the beginning of something new, something that will live on, carrying its own magic. The hospital is quiet now, the night deepening around you. Another book has found its place, its story restored. And though this chapter is closed, you know that others will come. The hospital waits patiently for the next book to arrive, for the next story to be written. And you will always be here, ready to heal, ready to listen. For as long as the books need you, you will be their guide. There are nights when the hospital feels different. Nights when the air is thick with an energy that you can't quite name. These are the nights when the books don't just come to be healed, they come with a purpose. Some books come seeking restoration, others come seeking answers. You've tended to many books in your time as a book healer. Some are battered and worn by the trials of time. Some are laden with magic too powerful for their pages. But tonight, you find yourself facing a book that brings with it a deeper question. The book is old, older than most. It's covered dark with age. You can feel the weight of it before you even touch it, as though it carries with it the gravity of its own history. The title is faint, nearly erased, but you can still make out the letters. The Chronicles of the Shifting Realm. This is a book unlike any you've encountered before, not because it is worn, though it is, but because of the power it carries. The Chronicles hold within them the stories of a world that once existed and yet never truly was. A world that shifts, sliding between dimensions like water between your fingers. A realm that exists in fragments, in echoes. This book is not just a record of that world. It is a vessel of it, a piece of the shifting realm itself. The question it carries is not what has happened, but what might still be. As you open the book, the pages flicker, shifting like the very reality they describe. It's as if the book's contents are not fixed in place. They are in a state of constant flux, much like the world they speak of. The ink seems to change as you read, the words flowing into new forms, like a tide rewriting the shore. You have read many books in your time, but this one is alive in a way that none of the others are. It moves and breathes, its story not yet fully told. It doesn't need healing, it needs anchoring. The shifting realm is out of sync with the world you know, a place of constant motion, where the laws of time and space bend and break, where cities rise and fall in the blink of an eye. The very fabric of this realm is unstable, and so too is the book that holds its chronicles. You have heard of the shifting realm in whispers, but never have you encountered a piece of it like this. The magic within this book is not the usual kind of spell you restore, not the kind that can be fixed with a simple touch or the cloth of starlight. This is deeper, more complex. This is the foundation of a world, and it must be brought into alignment. As you sit before the book, you realize that the answer lies not in trying to fix it, but in understanding the imbalance. You reach for a tool that has been sitting quietly in the corner of your workbench for years, a tool you've only used once before, the crystal hourglass. The hourglass is an artifact of immense power. Its sands are not just grains of time, they are particles of existence itself, imbued with the essence of the realms. When turned, it does not simply mark the passage of time, it realigns it. The sands have the power to slow, to accelerate, or to freeze time in its tracks. But this power comes at a cost. The hourglass can only be used once in a single cycle, and the magic is volatile, unpredictable. You grip the hourglass gently, the weight of it familiar in your hands. The glowing sands inside shimmer like stars caught in a nebula, each grain a universe unto itself. You turn the hourglass, and the sands inside begin to fall. They move slowly at first, their glow pulsing with each drop. But as the sand moves through the glass, you begin to feel the air around you shift. Time itself seems to stretch and distort, and the room begins to change, the edges of reality blurring. The book trembles, its pages fluttering as if caught in a wind from another world. The symbols on the pages start to twist and turn, reforming, realigning. The ink seems to pull itself back into the page, the words settling into a coherent form. For the first time, the shifting realm begins to take shape. As the last grains of sand fall through the hourglass, the book's pages still. The world within them is no longer shifting. It has found its center. The chronicles of the shifting realm are no longer a jumble of disjointed fragments. The world within has been brought into balance, its threads woven back into place. The ink on the pages now flows as it should. The cities of the shifting realm, once caught in a state of constant flux, now standing firm in their new, anchored existence. You can feel the shift in the air. The realm is no longer slipping between dimensions. It has found its anchor. It is now a world set, its place within the universe solidified. The book now feels whole. You gently close its cover, its weight now steady, its magic calm. There is no longer any uncertainty in its pages. The realm it chronicles has found its place once again. You step back from your workbench, your heart light with the knowledge that you've done more than heal a book. You've helped a world find its balance. You've restored more than just pages. You've woven together the fabric of reality itself, if only for this one world. But that's what you do here. You mend what is broken, you soothe what is lost, and you guide what is wandering in the dark. But every night brings a new challenge. Every book that arrives holds a new mystery, a new task. Some are easier than others. Some require more than magic. They require patience, understanding, and sometimes a bit of imagination. And so, as the moon rises higher in the sky, casting its silver light across the shelves, you know that your work is far from over. The books are waiting. The stories are calling. Each one a universe unto itself. And tomorrow, when the dawn breaks, the hospital will open once more to heal, to restore, to listen. For as long as there are stories, there will always be books in need of your care. And for as long as the stories need to be told, you will be there. There are places where time doesn't quite move in the same way. The Restorative Book Hospital is one of those places. Its walls built from ancient stone, its floors worn smooth from centuries of footsteps. But there's something deeper about this place, something timeless. It is the heart of a long and storied tradition, the tradition of the book healers. The book healers are not mere caretakers of books. No, their work goes far beyond dusting off forgotten pages or repairing torn covers. They are the guardians of stories, of memories, of knowledge, of worlds, and their craft is as old as the books themselves. The origins of the book healers stretch back to the early days of magic, when the first tomes were written, inscribed with the power of worlds unknown. Long before the first ink was ever laid to paper, the magic of storytelling existed in pure, unspoken form. The stories were kept in the hearts of those who could remember them, passed down orally, woven into the fabric of reality. But as time passed, these stories were captured in ink and bound in leather, and the need to preserve them, to ensure their survival, became more pressing. The act of writing was powerful, but the act of preserving, that was sacred. It was the first archivist, a legendary figure in the world of book healers, who recognized the fragile nature of written stories. She saw that the ink, the parchment, and the bindings, though powerful, could fade, could tear, could be lost to time. So she devised the first methods of healing books, a practice that would one day be known as book healing. The first archivist was a scholar of unimaginable wisdom. She had been trained in the magical arts of binding, spellcraft, and inkweaving, but it was her deep connection with the stories themselves that set her apart. It is said that she could hear the stories in the wind, feel the ink's pulse beneath her fingers, and see the threads of magic that wove the stories together. Her understanding of the written word was not just intellectual, it was spiritual. To her, every book was a living entity, a repository of life and magic, waiting to be nourished and cared for. And so, she began to experiment with ways to restore the books that had become damaged, to heal the spells and the memories they contained. It was during her studies of the ancient ink of the eternal river, a magical ink derived from a river that flows through realms of both time and space, that the first archivist discovered the true power of healing. She learned to imbue books with a special type of magic, the magic of preservation and restoration. With this magic, she could mend the pages, fix the bindings, and even realign the stories within them. She became the first book healer. But the first archivist didn't stop there. She understood that books were not merely physical objects. They were conduits of energy, threads of magic that connected one world to another. She began crafting the first tools of the book healer, each one infused with ancient spells that would allow a book healer to interact with the magic inside a book. Her tools were not just implements. They were enchanted extensions of herself, created to channel the energy of the stories she sought to preserve. Among these tools were the cloth of starlight, the crystal hourglass, and the essence of forgotten dreams, each holding its own unique purpose in the healing process. The cloth of starlight, the most revered of all, was said to have been woven during a rare celestial event when the moon and the stars aligned in a pattern not seen for 1,000 years. It was created by the first archivist herself, who infused the cloth with the light of the heavens. The cloth was intended for delicate work, gentle enough to cleanse a book's surface, yet strong enough to purify the darkest stains left by forgotten worlds. It became an essential tool used in every book healer's practice, and it is said that the cloth never loses its glow, never dulls, because the light it holds is eternal. The crystal hourglass was crafted from the sands of time itself, taken from a realm that existed outside of the world's boundaries. The hourglass had the power to manipulate the very fabric of time within a book. It could slow the passage of moments, freeze a moment of magic, or speed up the process of healing. But the sand within the hourglass is not just ordinary sand. It is made from the essence of existence, a rare substance that binds together the flow of time, memory, and magic. The crystal hourglass is a tool used only in the most delicate cases, when a book has become so tangled in its own magic that it needs to be realigned with the world. And then there is the essence of forgotten dreams, a powerful elixir that the first archivist discovered in her travels through the Dreamweaver's realm, a realm where forgotten dreams reside. The essence is a liquid that glows with the light of old memories and untold stories, drawn from the wells of unconscious thought. It has the power to restore lost knowledge, to fill empty pages with fragments of forgotten worlds. The essence of forgotten dreams is used when a book has lost its magic, when its heart has been left behind, when its very soul needs to be refilled. These tools, created long ago, are still in use today by the book healers. They are the legacy of the first archivist, passed down through generations of healers. But as with all magic, there are limits to what these tools can do. There are books that resist healing, books whose stories are too fractured to restore, books that are too powerful to be touched by any healer's hand. The role of the book healer is not only to restore what is broken, but to understand the nature of the stories they work with. Over the centuries, book healers have developed an intimate connection with their books, not just as healers, but as companions. They understand that each book has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat, its own memory, and sometimes a book healer must sit in silence and listen to the book before they can begin to heal it. In the early days, the first archivist would often spend days, sometimes weeks, immersed in a single book, listening to its story and understanding its needs. This practice continues today, passed down from master to apprentice. It is said that only those with the rarest of gifts, the ability to truly listen, can become a book healer. But the work of the book healers is not without its dangers. For every book that is healed, there is the possibility of a book that cannot be saved. Some books are too old, their magic too ancient and forgotten to restore. Others are too dangerous, their power too volatile to contain. Some books even refuse healing, their stories too tangled in dark magic or lost worlds to be brought back. And so, the book healers must walk a delicate line, balancing the power of restoration with the wisdom of restraint. They are the keepers of the stories that cannot be told, the worlds that cannot be saved, and the books that must remain unread. The first archivist's legacy lives on in every book healer who walks these halls. And though the tools may have changed over the centuries, the practice remains the same: to restore, to preserve, and to listen. For a book healer is not just a keeper of books, they are a keeper of stories, stories that bind the world together, stories that shape the magic of the universe itself. In the quiet of the Restorative Book Hospital, where time seems to stretch and bend like the pages of an ancient tome, you, the book healer, have always felt an unspoken connection to the past. The hospital is not just a place of restoration, it is a living history, a repository of magic, of stories, of wisdom passed down from those who have walked this path before you. For as long as you can remember, this place has been your home, your sanctuary. You have learned the ways of the book healers from the oldest of texts, from the mentors who guided you, and from the magic that lives and breathes within the walls. But as you heal the books, as you restore the pages and mend the bindings, you often feel the weight of something larger, a presence that lingers just beyond your grasp. It is the presence of the first archivist and the legacy she left behind. The first archivist, the very first of the book healers, began this tradition centuries ago. She was a scholar, a sorceress, and a visionary, a woman whose connection to books, to stories, and to the very fabric of reality was unmatched. Her gifts allowed her to hear the voices of the books, to listen to their stories, and to restore them when they were torn, broken, or lost. Her legacy, preserved in both her magic and her teachings, has flowed through the ages like a river, each generation of book healers adding its own ripples, expanding the magic, adapting the tools, and pushing the boundaries of what could be done. But your connection to her is not simply the inheritance of knowledge, it is something more personal. You were not just taught the ways of the book healers, you were chosen. As a child, You were drawn to this place, though you didn't know why. The hospital seemed to call to you, even when you were too young to understand what it meant. It was here that you first encountered the magic that courses through these walls, here that you began to hear the stories of the books. At first, they were faint whispers, fragments of forgotten worlds, barely audible under the hum of the lanterns. But as you grew, so did your ability to listen, to understand, and to heal. One night, as a young apprentice, you found yourself standing before a book unlike any other. It was an ancient text, its cover cracked and faded, the pages brittle with age. The Book of the Forgotten Path, a book that had been passed down through the generations of book healers, a book that held within it the map to a hidden realm, a world lost to time. It was your hands that healed it. That night, as you sat in the stillness of the hospital's deepest chamber, the essence of forgotten dreams was your guide. You used it to mend the torn pages, to restore the ink that had been washed away by centuries of neglect. As the final thread of magic was woven into the book, a strange feeling washed over you, an awareness that the Book of the Forgotten Path was more than just an ancient tome. It was your destiny. In that moment, the hospital itself seemed to recognize you. The walls hummed with a pulse that you could feel deep within your chest. The book healers who came before you, their spirits and magic, seemed to acknowledge your presence, your connection to the legacy of the first archivist. The connection between you and the first archivist is not one of mere training. You carry her bloodline, her essence, within you. The first archivist, as it is said in the old texts, was the last in a long line of sorcerers born with the ability to hear the voices of the written word. Her descendants, though few and far between, would always possess a special bond with the books. It is this bloodline that you belong to. The ancient magic of the first archivist flows through your veins, and it was this magic that chose you. You are the heir to a legacy, yes, but you are also something more, a bridge between the old ways and the new. You are the continuation of a tradition that spans centuries, one that has evolved over time but remains rooted in the belief that stories have power, not just the power to be told, but the power to heal. Your journey as a book healer is more than simply restoring damaged books. It is about understanding the soul of each story, about learning from the past while preparing the way for the future. The tools that you use, crafted by the first archivist herself, have been passed down through generations. The cloth of starlight, the crystal hourglass, the essence of forgotten dreams, these tools are more than just instruments of magic. They are symbols of the legacy you carry, and their power is bound to your own. But with this legacy comes responsibility. The first archivist created the hospital as a sanctuary for books, but she also left behind a warning. The magic of the book healers is not limitless. There are books that should not be healed, stories that should remain untold. The more you learn, the more you begin to understand that some books are too dangerous to restore. Some books hold the power to change the world in ways that cannot be undone. And so, as the current book healer, you must walk a delicate line between restoration and restraint. Like your ancestors before you, you must learn when to heal and when to let go. The shifting book you encountered last night, the one that seemed so broken, so lost, was the first true test of your inheritance. It was not just a book that needed restoration. It needed a new story, and that story was one you had to write. It is a task that no book healer before you has ever faced, but it is yours. You are not just a guardian of books. You are a creator, a weaver of magic, a link in an unbroken chain that stretches back to the first archivist and beyond. Your work is not only to heal, but to evolve. The books will always come, and your legacy will carry on. But you are more than a restorer of the past. You are a shaper of the future. As the hospital settles into quiet, and the last of the night's books rest on their shelves, you close your eyes, feeling the weight of the past in your hands. You are the book healer now, and though the voices of those who came before you still echo in these walls, it is your own voice that will guide the stories forward. For every book that arrives, a new chapter begins. And in the stillness, you are ready. The rain falls gently outside, its soft patter like a lullaby. Yet inside, there is an unsettled stillness. The night has been unusually quiet. No new arrivals, no urgent calls for healing, just the soft hum of the hospital's ancient magic, waiting. But you feel it. There is a weight in the air, an unspoken tension that hangs like a storm cloud, heavy and unyielding. The books around you rest quietly, their stories tucked away for the moment. But you, the book healer, are not at peace. You've been here for as long as you can remember, living between the pages, restoring what was broken. But tonight, there is something different. A sense of doubt, perhaps, or a question that refuses to leave your mind. It began with the arrival of an unusual book, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Its cover was pristine, almost new. Too perfect, in fact. The title, etched in gold, read simply, "The Final Word." At first glance, it seemed ordinary, at least as ordinary as any magical book could be. But as you held it in your hands, you felt it. The magic was wrong. There was a sense of finality to it, a heaviness that felt like the closing of a door that should never be opened. The book hummed with a quiet urgency, yet something inside it felt empty, as if its story had already been told, its pages already sealed. You placed the book on your workbench, the familiar ritual of preparing for healing overtaking you. But when you opened the cover, you found something that shocked you. The pages inside were blank, entirely empty. Not a single word, not a single image. The book was nothing but empty space, yet its magic was as strong as any tome you'd ever encountered. You've seen many things in your time, books missing pages, books that have lost their magic, but this was something else entirely. A book with no words, no history, no story. And that is what troubled you the most. For the first time in your life, you felt powerless. The tools of the book healers, the cloth of starlight, the crystal hourglass, the essence of forgotten dreams, they all had their place in your hands. You had restored and healed countless books, from the most ancient to the most fragile. But this book refused to be restored. The silence that followed was unbearable. The book didn't need healing in the way you knew. It didn't need magic to repair it, nor words to fill its pages. It needed something else, something beyond your understanding. You find yourself sitting at the edge of your workbench, your fingers hovering over the book's empty pages. The silence presses in on you, heavy and thick. For a long while, you simply sit there, listening to the rain, feeling the weight of this strange emptiness. You remember the stories, the ones passed down from the first archivist, the tales of books that were more than just ink on paper. These were books that carried the very essence of existence itself, books that could create and destroy worlds. But this book, this one, was different. There was no story to it, no beginning, no end. What is a book healer without stories? The question gnaws at you, deep in your heart. You have always believed that every book has a story, even the ones that seem broken or fragmented. You've restored books that were missing pages, books that had been damaged by magic, too ancient to comprehend. But this book, this empty vessel, it defies everything you know. You feel the weight of your responsibility settle deeper. You've always been the one to heal, to restore. But this book, there is nothing to restore. There is no damage, no fracture in the pages, no magic that is misplaced. There is simply nothing. The night drags on, the questions piling up like forgotten tomes, the silence around you deafening. You've tried everything, the essence of forgotten dreams, the crystal hourglass, even the cloth of starlight. But each attempt only ends in failure. The book remains unchanged. And in that failure, something stirs within you, an uncomfortable, unsettling realization. You can't fix this, not by any of the means you know, not with the tools of the first archivist, not with your magic, and not with your knowledge. For the first time, you feel like the book is the one healing you. A book that has no story is a reminder of how fragile stories really are, how fragile we are in the face of the unknown. In that moment of quiet, you remember the words that the first archivist once spoke to you in your dreams. The stories that shape us are not always the ones we write. Some stories are given to us, and others we must create from the very nothingness of the world. It was a lesson you had forgotten in the rush of your daily work, in the certainty of knowing exactly how to heal a book. You have always restored what was broken, but you have never had to create a story before. The quiet realization settles in, like a seed planted deep within you. This book doesn't need magic to be healed. It needs you to write its story. With trembling hands, you reach for your quill. The ink feels different tonight, heavier, but you steady yourself, remembering the first archivist's wisdom. Every book has a beginning. Every story has a path, even if it hasn't been discovered yet. You write the first words on the blank page, feeling the spark of creation ignite within you. A story begins with a single step, a choice, a voice, an echo in the darkness. As the ink touches the page, you feel the magic of the book shift. The void that once consumed the pages begins to fill, slowly at first, and then with growing momentum. Words begin to form, ideas, images. The book begins to grow. And with each word you write, you realize that this book, this strange, empty book, was never meant to be healed in the traditional sense. It was meant to be created, written into existence. The story pours from you, an unstoppable river of words and images, flooding the pages with life. And as the final word is written, the book closes with a soft, satisfying thud. The weight of it, once hollow, now feels full, rich with the magic of your creation. For the first time in a long while, you feel whole. You've learned something tonight. Not all healing is about restoring what was lost. Sometimes, healing is about creating something new, about finding the courage to write the stories that are still waiting to be told. The night has passed, the rain outside quieting. The hospital's walls settle into the stillness, the books resting, their stories complete. But you, the book healer, know that the journey isn't over. There will be more books, more challenges, more stories to tell. And in that, you find your purpose. It has been days since you healed the empty book, the one that had no story. The hospital, for the first time in a long while, feels at peace. The halls are quiet, the books are settled in their shelves, and the magic that fills the air hums gently, as if resting after a great work. But peace is fragile, and tonight the storm rages outside, its howling winds and thunderous booms shaking the very foundations of the hospital. The air feels charged. You sense it before it even arrives. A new book. This book is different. The moment the door opens and the book is placed on the workbench, you feel it in your bones. A deep, unsettling tremor, as though the very energy of the book is trying to break free. You step closer, the chill of the storm outside creeping into the room, and you notice the first thing that catches your eye. The book is sealed in a dark leather binding, its surface slick with a strange metallic sheen. There is no title, no label, no words at all. It radiates power, but a power that is twisted, malevolent, as though it carries a piece of a long-forgotten evil. The Forbidden Book. You know what this book is. No one speaks of it aloud, not even among the oldest of book healers. This book has existed for centuries, passed through the hands of many, each one keeping it hidden away, locked in vaults or buried beneath layers of magic. Its very existence is forbidden, a book so dangerous that to even touch it could cause irreparable harm to the one who tries to heal it. The Forbidden Book is not a book of stories. It is a book of secrets, forbidden knowledge that was never meant to be uncovered, a book that contains the power to rewrite the very fabric of reality itself. To alter the course of time, to control the destinies of worlds. It is said that this book was written by the first sorcerer who ever walked between the realms, a being who sought to manipulate fate itself. But the price for this knowledge was high. Those who sought the power of the Forbidden Book paid with their very souls. You hesitate. Your hands hover over the book, the magic of it reaching out to you, whispering promises of untold power, of knowledge that no book healer has ever possessed. But there is a warning in the back of your mind, an ancient voice passed down from the first archivist that echoes in your thoughts. Some books are meant to remain untouched. Some stories are better left untold. Do not let your thirst for knowledge lead you astray. But the pull of the book is undeniable. You feel its magic, a darkness that beckons, and for a fleeting moment you wonder if perhaps you are the one meant to heal it, to unlock its secrets and control the chaos it contains. As you sit there, contemplating the book's power, you realize something. You have healed many books, mended many stories. But this is something different. This book is not a wound to be healed. It is a curse, a source of unimaginable destruction. You remember the old stories, the warnings given by your predecessors, the ancient book healers who walked these halls before you. They spoke of the bound scrolls, the first texts written to bind and control magic, of which this book is one. The magic contained within them is far beyond what you've ever encountered. A power that, if released, could warp the very laws of existence. And yet, here it lies before you, waiting for you to make a decision. Do you heal it and risk unleashing its power into the world? Or do you leave it be, knowing that its secrets will remain locked away, untouched but dangerous? The weight of this choice presses down on you, harder than any book you've ever worked with. The responsibility you carry is immense. You are the keeper of the stories, but in this case, the story is not yours to write. This book was never meant to be restored. In that moment, you realize something deeper. Your role as a book healer is not just to restore the past, it is to protect the future. To recognize when the past, with all its powerful knowledge and dangerous magic, must remain sealed. There are stories that should not be told, books that should never be healed. You stand and walk toward the forbidden book, your fingers brushing against its dark leather cover. The book pulses under your touch, as if it senses the indecision in your heart. But as your hand moves to open it, you feel the weight of your ancestors' magic surge within you. The magic that has always guided you, that has always protected you from such darkness. You know what you must do. With a final, steady breath, you close the book, its pull fading into the distance. The storm outside begins to quiet, as if in acknowledgement of your choice. The air feels lighter now, the oppressive weight lifting from the room. The forbidden book remains sealed away, its secrets locked behind layers of magic, magic that only a book healer like you can understand. You realize, as you sit in the quiet of the hospital once more, that healing is not always about fixing what is broken. Sometimes, healing is about knowing when to walk away, when to say no to the temptation of power, and when to leave a story untold. The hospital is once again at peace, its walls whispering their quiet stories to the night. The books rest, their magic contained, their secrets safe, for now. And you, the book healer, understand that this journey is far from over. There will always be more books to heal, more stories to protect, and more choices to make. But the choices you've made tonight, the choice to protect the world from the darkness of the forbidden book, are the ones that will define the future. For in the end, the most powerful magic isn't the kind that changes worlds. It's the kind that protects them. It's been weeks since the forbidden book was sealed away, its dark power locked behind layers of magic and the careful watch of the hospital's vaults. The storm that raged that night has passed, and the air has settled into the quiet hum of the usual magic that flows through the hospital. But even now, the tension remains, like a subtle undercurrent, the sensation that something isn't right. At first, you thought the decision was final, that sealing away the book had been the right choice. The hospital returned to its rhythm, its endless work of healing books, restoring stories, and guiding knowledge back into the world. But it wasn't long before things began to change. At night, when the magic of the hospital was at its strongest, you could hear something strange. Whispers. Not the usual whispers of the books, the ones that carried stories of forgotten realms and lost knowledge. No, these whispers were darker, colder. They seemed to come from the deepest corners of the hospital, places you had never heard anything before. At first, You chalked it up to fatigue, a product of too many long nights spent restoring ancient tomes. But then the whispers grew louder. One night, as the hospital sleeps and you sit at your workbench, a figure steps into the library's grand hall. You turn, sensing a presence. It is a figure you've never seen before, a cloaked figure, their face obscured by shadows. The air around them crackles with an odd energy, a magic you can't quite place. They do not speak, but there is an unmistakable feeling in the room, a sense of foreboding, as if the very presence of this stranger is tied to the very decision you made all those weeks ago. They don't say anything at first, just standing in the center of the room. The books on the shelves shudder and hum, as if they too recognize this figure. You find yourself standing, walking toward them, before you even realize it. The urge is irresistible, pulling you forward, your hand reaching out as if you already know what to do.
You have made a choice, book healer. You sealed the forbidden book away, a wise choice, perhaps, but not the only choice. You cannot keep it hidden forever. Knowledge cannot be locked away, not for long.
You freeze, the words echoing in your mind, their meaning sinking into you like a cold stone. You take a step back, the figure's presence too heavy for comfort. But even as you take a step away, you feel a pull toward them, a pull toward what they represent. The stranger steps forward, their hands pulling back the hood to reveal a face, strangely familiar, yet utterly foreign, the face of someone from the past, someone who should not be here. The first archivist, no, it can't be, but the face you see is not the one from your memories. This is a distorted version, a shadow of what the first archivist was, a fragment of a memory too powerful to be contained. The magic that holds this figure in place is unnatural, warped, as though they've been distilled from something older, something far darker. The figure speaks again, the voice both theirs and not theirs, as if their words are coming from two places at once.
You think you've sealed it away, book healer, but the book, the knowledge inside it will find its way out. It always does. The magic you have protected, the very power you sought to control, has already begun to seep into the walls of this hospital. You cannot keep it contained.
You back away, the truth of the words sinking in, each syllable like a nail being driven deeper into your chest. The forbidden knowledge is not just in the book. It has already begun to infiltrate the hospital, the very walls, the very magic you've worked so hard to protect. The whispers grow louder now, swirling around you, tugging at your thoughts, at your very core. You feel as though the hospital itself is shifting, changing. The books, once familiar, now feel alien, their pages shuddering, their magic twisting. You race to the hospital's deepest chambers, where the forbidden book was sealed. But when you reach the vault, the door is ajar. You feel the pull of the book before you even see it. It's calling to you. But it's not the same. The book is not the one you sealed away. It has changed. The air around it is thick with dark energy, and the very room seems to pulse with a sinister magic. The pages, now visible, are no longer empty. They are filled with words, and the words are not just ink. They are alive, moving and shifting, as though they are trying to escape. It was never the book itself that was dangerous. It was the knowledge it carried. And now that knowledge is free. Free to reshape the hospital, free to reach into the hearts of those who work here, free to rewrite the stories of the world. The figure, the shadow of the first archivist, steps beside you, their presence cold, their magic entwining with the very air you breathe.
You have sealed the book, but you have not sealed the knowledge. The magic inside it is too powerful to be contained, and now it will spread. Through you, through the books you heal, through the stories you protect. It is already too late.
You realize then that the true cost of your decision wasn't simply the knowledge within the forbidden book. It was the act of choosing to contain it. That choice has unleashed a chain of events, unraveling everything you've worked for. The hospital, the books, and your very role as a book healer have been changed irrevocably. You thought you could protect the world by keeping the forbidden magic sealed away, but in doing so, you've made the choice to set it free. As the figure fades into the shadows, you are left standing alone, the weight of your choice pressing down on you. You know now that the journey has only just begun. For the forbidden book is not the end of the story. It is the beginning. And in the silence that follows, you know one thing above all else. No choice is ever truly final. Weeks have passed since you sealed the forbidden book away, yet the unease has only grown. The hospital, once a sanctuary for damaged books and wandering souls, now feels like a place caught in the middle of a whispering storm. The magic that once flowed smoothly through its walls now trembles, as if something underneath is pulling at the threads of reality itself. At first, the changes were subtle. You noticed that the books, though still healing, seemed to thrum with an energy you couldn't quite place. Some would hum in your hands, their pages fluttering as though they were alive, their stories pulsing like hearts. Others seemed to be decaying in strange ways. The bindings cracked open when no one touched them. The ink faded or shifted, like it had a mind of its own. And then the books began to speak. Not in the familiar way, the gentle whispers of long-forgotten tales. No, these voices were discordant, jagged, as if something had tainted them. At night, you could hear them, soft murmurings that echoed through the hospital, bouncing off the stone walls and seeping into the very floors beneath your feet. You thought it was just your imagination, but now, as you walk through the long, dimly lit corridors, you can feel it, the presence of something different. One evening, as the hospital's lamps flicker in the growing darkness, a book falls from its shelf. This in itself is not unusual. Books have always had a way of moving on their own, a consequence of the magic that flows through them. But when you pick it up, you feel something wrong. It's a new book, one you've never seen before. Its cover is a deep, dark crimson, but it's not the texture of leather or cloth. It feels like flesh, warm to the touch, as though it has been alive. As you open the book, the pages seem to shift, not like the turning of paper, but like a living thing squirming beneath your fingers. The ink flows before your eyes, reforming, changing, creating words that should not be. The words are distorted, fragmented, like a broken mirror. You can't make sense of them at first, but as you focus, the meaning becomes clearer. These are messages, not from any author, but from the book itself, or something much darker that has taken root inside it. The walls grow thin, time grows soft, the stories unravel, the book is awake, the curse is near. The message is clear. The ripple has begun. The magic that was released when the forbidden book was sealed away is now spreading, infecting the hospital itself. You feel a shiver run down your spine, the coldness of realization settling in like a stone. The hospital, once a haven for stories, has begun to change. The boundaries between the books and the world outside have blurred. You can feel it in the very walls. The once secure shelves are shifting, the air thicker, filled with the scent of ancient parchment and something else, something darker, like ink spilled into the veins of the building itself. The magic that once flowed harmoniously has become distorted. The books that once healed under your hands now seem to react to you, resisting the comfort you once provided them. They begin to resist, pulling away from your touch, the bindings warping, the pages writhing, as if they are rejecting the very act of being healed. You walk the halls of the hospital in the dead of night, the whispers now growing into voices, real voices. The books are speaking, but not to each other. They're speaking to you. Their words become louder, more insistent. You hear a voice calling from the deepest vaults, a book you know well, one you've restored countless times. The Book of Lost Voices. Its once soft hum is now a screeching cry, calling out your name, demanding your attention. You reach the vaults, the room once secure, once calm, now thrumming with a pulsing energy that feels both ancient and alien. You open the door to the Book of Lost Voices, and its pages fly open on their own, scattering through the air like leaves in a storm. The words are no longer words. They are images, emotions, memories of all the lives this book has touched, now twisted into something unrecognizable. The voices inside the book rise, screaming, demanding release, their agony vibrating through the very foundation of the hospital. The hospital is no longer the safe place it once was. The walls themselves feel as though they are alive, their surfaces pulsing with dark energy. The books, once still and waiting, now move restlessly. They shake with an energy that comes from deep within, an energy that seeks only to escape. Books that had been left undisturbed for centuries now stir, their stories clawing to be heard, their magic yearning to be released. The hospital is coming undone. And then, one fateful night, the bell rings. It is not a bell from any of the hospital's chambers or towers. It is a bell that resonates from outside the hospital, one that hasn't tolled in over 100 years. The toll of the bound books, a signal that the seal has been broken, that the ancient magic protecting the stories within has faltered. The walls groan, as if the very structure of the hospital is tearing itself apart. The books, your patients, your companions, are no longer simply stories. They are alive, their magic unraveling in the most chaotic ways. You realize then, with a sinking heart, the full weight of what you've done. By sealing the forbidden book, you thought you were protecting the world from its power, but in doing so, you unleashed a force far beyond your understanding. The books are no longer just vessels of knowledge. They are prisons, their magic seeking freedom, seeking to escape the boundaries that once held them in check. The hospital has become a sanctuary for the fractured, a place where stories cannot be contained and magic cannot be controlled. The only question that remains is this: can you mend the damage you've caused, or is it already too late? As the last of the books fall from the shelves and the storm outside reaches its crescendo, you know one thing with certainty. The hospital is no longer just a place of healing. It has become a living story, a tale whose ending has yet to be written. And you, the book healer, must now choose. Can you restore the balance before the story of the hospital unravels completely? The hospital and your destiny are now bound to the books, to the very stories you've tried to protect. The tale of the book healer has only just begun. The hospital is falling apart. What was once a sanctuary, a place of quiet restoration, is now a maelstrom of chaotic magic. The walls themselves groan, their structure creaking under the pressure of an unseen force. The magic once flowing so smoothly, now splintering, fracturing into countless threads of unstable energy. The books, your patients, your companions, are no longer just books. They are shifting, warping, and in some cases, screaming as if in pain. The bindings are unraveling, the ink disappearing and reappearing in random patterns, the words twisting into forms they were never meant to take. And all of this breakdown, is because of one decision you made. You thought you had done the right thing by sealing away the forbidden book. But in doing so, you unknowingly unleashed a torrent of dark magic, a power too volatile to contain. You've tried to ignore it, tried to convince yourself that the hospital could heal itself, that the power of the books could restore what had been lost. But deep down, you know the truth. This place, this hospital, is dying, and it will continue to unravel unless you act. You stand now alone in the heart of the library. The shelves are a mess, the books disorganized and restless. The hospital's once beautiful halls are now filled with echoes of things better left forgotten. And somewhere, deep within the walls, you feel the magic, the once harmonious flow, now fighting against itself, trying to tear everything apart. You can't fix this by simply using the old tools. The cloth of starlight and the crystal hourglass, they've been unable to calm the chaos. The magic, it seems, has grown too wild, too unpredictable to be contained by the methods you've always relied upon. And yet, there's something within you, a flicker of something older, something buried deep in your memory. The teachings of the first archivist, the lessons passed down through generations of book healers. There is always a way, even in the darkest of times. You step into the heart of the library, the vaults where the most ancient books are kept, where the magic runs the deepest. The oldest tomes rest here, their bindings covered in dust, their pages yellowed with time. These are the books that speak of the hospital's true origin, its first foundation, its very purpose. You need to find one book. The Book of Origins, the first record of the hospital's magic, the spell that created the Restorative Book Hospital itself. It is said that this book holds the secrets to restoring balance when the magic has become too unruly. But you've never opened it before. No one has. It is a book of untapped knowledge, powerful and dangerous, bound by ancient spells that only the most seasoned book healers can hope to understand. You find it, the Book of Origins, and as you hold it in your hands, a wave of energy ripples through you. The air feels thick with magic. The book is covered in worn leather, but the surface is surprisingly warm, as though it has been waiting for you. You open it carefully, your fingers brushing against the pages. The ink on these pages is like nothing you've ever seen. It glows faintly, flickering with a soft, ethereal light that seems to pulse with every heartbeat. The words shift before your eyes, rearranging themselves like ancient runes, telling a story you can almost hear, though you don't quite understand. The pages tell of a time long before the hospital was built, when the magic of the books was wild, untamed, destructive. The very creation of the Restorative Book Hospital was a response to this wildness, an effort to bring order to the chaos of magical knowledge. The magic of the books could not be controlled, so it was contained within the walls of the hospital, bound by the strongest of spells. But there is one lesson that stands out, one phrase that is repeated in different forms across several pages. To restore balance, the book healer must become the book. The words resonate within you, and you realize the truth of it. You have been healing the books, yes, but you have never truly become a part of them. You have never fully embraced the magic of the stories you protect. To heal the hospital, to restore the balance, you must do more than just fix the books. You must become one with them, merge with the magic they hold, understand the chaos at its core. Only then will you be able to heal the fracture in the hospital's very existence. The realization is overwhelming, but there is no time to hesitate. You close the Book of Origins and begin to prepare. You know now that the only way to restore the balance is to merge with the magic of the books. The only way to heal the hospital is to become a part of it, to let the stories, the words, and the very essence of the books flow through you. You walk to the center of the library, where the oldest, most powerful tomes are kept. The books seem to recognize you, their pages fluttering as you approach. They know what you must do. They call to you. You sit cross-legged in the center of the room, your hands resting gently on the open pages of a book. The air around you begins to hum with energy, the magic flowing into your body like a river, filling every part of you, merging with your very essence. The books speak to you not as separate entities, but as a single story, a single voice that resonates within your soul. The magic is overwhelming. The stories flood your mind, their images and emotions crashing together. You see the past, the present, and the future, all unfolding at once. You feel the pain of the books that have been hurt, the joy of those that have been healed, the confusion of those that have lost their way. You realize now that the magic was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be experienced, to be understood at the deepest level, to feel its power, its light, its darkness. As you reach the peak of your transformation, a wave of understanding washes over you. The magic is no longer a force to fear. It is part of you. You are part of it. You understand the balance now, the ebb and flow of creation and destruction, healing and decay. And with this understanding, you begin to repair the damage. The books settle back into place, their magic flowing in harmony once again. The hospital begins to heal itself, the walls steadying, the corridors quieting, the shelves filling once more with calm. The hospital is restored, but it is not the same. It is stronger now, its magic more balanced, more alive. And you, the book healer, are no longer just its caretaker. You are part of the hospital's story now, its living breath, its magic flowing through you, just as it flows through the books. You stand up, feeling the weight of your transformation. The hospital is whole once more, but you know that this journey, this merging with the books, has changed you forever. The hospital is healed, The hospital is calm now. The walls have steadied, the books have settled, and the once chaotic energy has returned to its natural rhythm. The shelves, once trembling with restless magic, now rest in quiet stillness, their books whispering softly to one another. The hospital has healed, and you, the book healer, have healed alongside it. But now, as the days pass, you begin to notice a change in yourself. You feel it in your bones, in the whispers that still echo in your mind, and in the dreams that visit you in the quiet of the night. You have become something else. The magic of the books flows through you in a way it never has before. The knowledge of the ancient stories, the forgotten realms, the lost voices, they are alive within you. You can hear them all. The books that speak, the ones that cry, the ones that laugh, and the ones that scream. At first you thought it was a gift, this new connection to the books, to the stories, to the very essence of the hospital. You can feel the pulse of each book now, each one vibrating with its own unique energy. The words speak to you in ways they never did before, offering glimpses of their deepest secrets. You know the book's desires, their fears, and their longings as if they were your own. But the more you delve into the stories, the more you realize the cost of this newfound power. You begin to forget yourself, just a little bit more each day. The books speak to you in fragments, pulling you deeper into their worlds, blending their stories with your own. The lines between you and the stories start to blur. You see the worlds within the pages, and you feel their lives as though they are your own. One evening, as you sit in the quiet library, restoring an old tome, you open a book that seems familiar. A simple narrative of a quiet village, its people struggling to survive a terrible storm. You've read it before. It is an ordinary story, nothing special. But as you turn the pages, the world shifts. The characters in the story look up at you. Their faces are no longer just ink on paper. They see you, they feel you, and you feel them. Their desperation, their pain, their fear. Their story is no longer confined to the pages. It is alive, reaching out to you, wrapping around you like a web. You hear their voices, their cries for help. The storm in the story intensifies, its winds howling louder, the rain pouring harder. The villagers look to you for guidance, for salvation. They don't know that you are not part of their world, that you are merely a healer of books. But to them, you are the key to their survival. The storm rages, and you feel it. You struggle to pull yourself away from the book, but the pull is too strong. The magic is no longer something you control. It is consuming you. The boundaries between book and healer have dissolved. You are now one with the story, caught in its web, no longer able to distinguish your thoughts from theirs. The villagers' desperate cries for help become your own. You can feel their hands reaching out, their fear crawling through your veins. Their world is becoming yours. You have become part of their storm, part of their story, and in turn, you know that their fates are now intertwined with yours. With a final, forceful breath, you pull yourself back from the edge, the book falling from your hands, its pages trembling as if reluctant to release you. The storm outside dies down, but the tension remains. The world within the pages has not completely let go of you. You sit there, your heart racing, your breath shallow. The book lies before you, its cover still glowing faintly, the voices inside still calling to you, though quieter now. You realize then that this is no longer just a matter of healing. You've become more than a healer. You've become a vessel for the stories. And in this new role, you've opened a door that you can't simply close. The books have entered you, and they are changing you. The books are no longer the same. They are alive within you, and they have their own desires. You can feel the stories reaching out, trying to influence your thoughts, your actions, your very being. They speak to you in your sleep, in your dreams, and even in the quiet moments when you think you are alone. And yet, there is a deeper truth buried within this transformation. The more the books influence you, the more you can heal them. You now understand them on a level that transcends your previous knowledge. You can feel their pain, their longing, and their purpose in ways you could never have imagined before. But you also realize the danger of this. You are losing yourself. The lines between healer and book have become too blurred. You must find a way to restore the balance within yourself before you become a part of the stories you were meant to heal. There is a way, though it is dangerous. A ritual, a final step in your transformation. It is said that the first book healers, in their greatest moments of need, would separate themselves from the magic they had become part of. They would anchor themselves once more, re-establishing the line between healer and book, but at great personal cost. It is a sacrifice, a way to return to themselves. But it is not an easy choice. The magic calls to you, stronger than ever, and the books you have become one with will fight to keep you. To give them up would be to lose something vital, something precious. The time has come for you to decide. Will you restore the balance within yourself and reclaim your humanity? Or will you continue to merge with the stories, becoming something more than human, a guardian of the books, but at the cost of your own soul? The hospital, the books, and the stories are now a part of you. The path forward is unclear, but one thing is certain. The journey of the book healer is never truly finished. The stories never stop. And neither do you. The choice weighs heavily on you. You've been living on the edge between two worlds, the world of the books and the world of the living. The hospital hums with a rhythm you once knew intimately, but now it feels different. Your connection to the stories is no longer just one of healing. It is a fusion, an intertwining of souls, and the longer you stay in this state, the harder it becomes to remember where you end and the books begin. The power, the knowledge that pulses within you is intoxicating. The stories have become your constant companions, their voices always in your mind, their emotions always at the edge of your consciousness. You feel them pulling at you, coaxing you to stay, to embrace them fully. But it is not without its cost. Every time you close your eyes, the dreams become darker. You dream of worlds where the books consume their readers, where the stories rewrite themselves and devour all that is left in their wake. You see the faces of the villagers from the storm story, those you tried to save, twisted into strange, distorted versions of themselves, their lives unraveling at your touch. The boundary between you and the books is fading. You are no longer sure if your own thoughts are your own, or if they are fragments of the stories you've touched. The memory of your own name feels distant, as if it were a story you once read, but can no longer remember. You must make a choice. The ritual to restore your balance is ancient, a binding magic passed down through generations of book healers. It is said to be a dangerous process, one that requires the book healer to relinquish part of themselves to the books, to break the bond they've forged. But the magic is not easily controlled. Once you enter the ritual, there is no guarantee you will return to the way you were. You could lose everything: the hospital, the stories, even your identity. You stand in the heart of the library now, the walls once filled with a soft hum now silent, as if even the books are holding their breath, waiting for you to make your choice. The Book of Origins lies on the desk before you, its cover glowing faintly, its pages still warm from the knowledge you've absorbed. There is a whisper from the book, a soft, urgent call. You have been changed, book healer, but the change is not complete. You are the keeper of the books, but are you still their healer? You can embrace the stories, let them guide you, lead you to the truth of the universe. Or you can break free, and in doing so, lose all that you have gained. The words linger in your mind like a bitter taste. The power, the connection, the ability to see the world through the eyes of the books. It calls to you like a siren song, but you know the truth. To become the guardian of the books means to lose yourself, to sacrifice your humanity for eternity. To heal the books is to preserve their stories, but also to forsake your own story, to become nothing more than a vessel for the words of others. You close your eyes, feeling the magic swirl around you, the whispers of the books rising, reaching, like fingers seeking your soul. You can feel them. The old books, the ones that have been here for centuries, their pages filled with ancient wisdom. The new books, the ones you've only just restored, their stories still young and full of potential. You are the bridge between these worlds, the one who heals their wounds and binds them to the pages of time. But you are also the one who feels the weight of their magic. And then you hear it. A book falls from the shelf, its pages fluttering wildly as though it has a life of its own. The Book of Lost Voices, a book you've always kept in a place of reverence. You reach down to pick it up, your hands trembling as you hold it. It is unlike any book you've ever encountered. Its pages are not written in ink. They are written in something far older, a language that twists your mind and tears at your heart. The book does not speak in words. It speaks in memories, in fragments of lives long forgotten. And as you open the book, you begin to remember, not your own memories, but the memories of those who have read it before, the lost souls who have touched its pages. You cannot escape us. You are one of us now. We are the stories, and you are the keeper. Will you heal us, or will you become one of us? You stand at the crossroads, the weight of the choice heavy on your shoulders. And then you make your decision. You close the Book of Lost Voices, its whispers silenced for now. The decision is clear, and you know that this is not just about the books anymore. It is about you, about who you are. You cannot continue to live as a vessel, not when your soul is slipping through your fingers like ink on water. You gather the strength within you, reaching deep into the core of your being. The ritual begins. As the ritual takes hold, you feel yourself returning. You feel the separation. A part of you is being torn away from the magic, the books, and the stories. The pain is unbearable, but you know it is the only way. You are letting go. The books do not fight you. They understand. They have always understood the price of being their guardian. They whisper one last time, but this time their voices are soft, almost like a blessing. You are whole again. The hospital is still standing, its books still alive with magic, but now the balance has been restored. You are not just a vessel. You are a healer once again, whole, human, and alive. The books, though they still call to you, no longer possess you. They are part of you, but you are your own. The journey has been long, but the choice has been made. You will continue to heal the books, to protect the stories, but you will no longer lose yourself in their pages. And so, the book healer walks forward, knowing that the hospital will always be here, that the stories will always need healing, and that they will always be a part of that journey. But now, the book healer also knows this. Some stories belong to the books, but some stories belong to you. And that is the story of the book healer, the one who healed the books and found their own soul in the process. In the days following your decision, the hospital has begun to breathe again, slowly, steadily. The magic that once threatened to overwhelm you now flows more gently, its rhythm becoming more in tune with the natural world of the books. The hospital no longer feels like a place of chaos, but one of balance. As you walk through the halls, the books, your once restless companions, are calm, their whispers now soft and inviting, like the murmur of old friends. The shelves that once seemed alive with tumultuous energy are now settled, no longer fighting for your attention. They accept you as you accept them. The first days are strange. You are no longer the vessel you once were. You no longer feel the constant pull of the stories, the endless tide of magic that once consumed you. Instead, you find yourself present, truly present, within each book, each page, each chapter. You see the stories more clearly now, with the wisdom of someone who has walked both sides of the threshold. But the shift is not without its difficulties. The hospital is no longer the place it once was. The books have felt your transformation, and so too has the environment. The energy of the hospital has changed, settled into a new kind of harmony. The magic now flows steadily, no longer a torrent but a river, clear and purposeful. You are no longer merely the healer of books. You have become their companion, their guide, their equal. The first change is subtle, a mere flicker at the edge of your awareness. One evening, as you restore an old tattered volume, a book of fairy tales, one you've seen 1,000 times, you notice something strange. The book's pages react to your touch. It isn't like before, when the books trembled in fear or resisted healing. This time, the pages glow faintly, a soft light emanating from the ink, almost like the book is alive, breathing with the same magic that pulses through your veins. You pull your hand away, startled by the sensation. But the book does not return to its former state. Instead, it opens itself wider, as if inviting you deeper. You understand then. The books no longer see you as an outside force, someone who fixes them. They see you as a part of their story, just as you have become part of theirs. You sit with the book, your fingers gently tracing the glowing words. The stories speak to you, not just in the form of ink and paper, but in emotion, in feeling. The once distant narratives now reach out to you, seeking to connect on a deeper level. You realize, with a strange sense of awe, that you are not simply restoring these books. You are co-authoring them, guiding them toward healing, toward completion, not as an outside observer, but as an integral part of their tale. This connection is both exhilarating and humbling. You no longer feel like the sole keeper of their magic. You are now part of their flow, as much as they are a part of yours. It is in these moments of quiet communion with the books that you begin to understand your new role. You are no longer the solitary book healer. You are the keeper of the library, yes, but more than that, you are the heart of the hospital, a bridge between the worlds of the written and the living. The hospital has become more than just a place for healing. It is now a living entity, a collective, where each story, each book, is not a simple object, but a living spirit, a part of the greater whole. And you, as its book healer, are now its guide, its voice, its companion. And then something unexpected happens. The other book healers, those who still tend to the library, who continue their work, begin to sense the change. They see the way the books now glow with a quiet energy, how the magic of the hospital is not just a force of restoration, but of growth, of life. The hospital, once a place of seclusion, is beginning to attract others, scholars, mystics, and storytellers who seek to learn from the hospital's now living magic. It becomes a place of community, a place where the boundaries between book, story, and reader blur and become something more. You watch as the hospital begins to change. No longer is it a secluded sanctuary, hidden away from the world. It is now a living institution, one that teaches as much as it heals. People come to learn, to connect, and to experience the stories in ways they never could before. The hospital has become a place where the living and the written intertwine, where the stories are not only healed, but told, shared, and created anew. And you, the book healer, have become its heart, a mentor, a guide, a keeper of both the books and the living, helping to shape the future of the hospital and the stories that fill its shelves. But even as the hospital flourishes, you know that your journey is far from over. The books still speak to you, and you, in turn, guide them. The stories you healed are now your stories, and as long as you remain their companion, you know you will never be truly alone. The hospital's magic continues to evolve, expanding in ways that are both beautiful and mysterious, and you, as its living book, will continue to shape it, to guide it, and to keep it alive for those who come seeking its refuge. And so, the book healer, now no longer just a healer of books, but a weaver of stories, stands at the heart of the Restorative Book Hospital. In this new phase of their journey, they realized that healing the books was never about fixing them. It was about becoming part of them, part of the stories they hold. And in this way, they have found the true magic, the ability to live both within the story and outside of it, guiding the books and writing their own path as they go. Years have passed, and the Restorative Book Hospital has grown. What was once a hidden sanctuary has transformed into a bastion of knowledge, a place where stories are not only healed, but reimagined and reborn. The walls now hum with the energy of thousands of stories, each one living and breathing within the pages they inhabit. The hospital is a living, breathing organism, and its pulse is steady and strong. You, the book healer, have become its living memory, its foundation, a mentor to the many who have come to study the art of book healing. The hospital is now filled with new faces. Young book healers, students, artists, and storytellers, all drawn here by the pull of magic, the promise of restoration, and the allure of a place where books are not just objects, but living things. But even as the hospital thrives, you feel the quiet stirrings of change. The younger generations are full of ideas, of ambitions and dreams that push against the very foundation upon which the hospital was built. You feel it in the air. A shift is coming. One afternoon, as you walk through the familiar hallways, your footsteps echoing softly against the old stone, you come upon a meeting. It is an informal gathering, no more than a dozen young faces gathered in a small, sunlit room. The room, like many in the hospital, is filled with the scent of old paper. But today, there is something different in the air. The students, the new book healers, are animated, their voices rising with excitement as they discuss their plans for the future of the hospital. One young healer, a bright-eyed girl with long brown hair, stands in front of the others, holding up a dusty old tome. She is passionate, her voice full of energy. "We need to expand the way we view book healing," she says, her voice ringing with certainty. "These books aren't just sick objects to fix. They are alive. They grow with us. They learn from us. What if we could make the healing process even deeper? What if we could connect the books to the world outside? Let them grow and evolve with the people who read them, not just heal them." There's an eager murmur of agreement from the group, their faces filled with the excitement of possibility. You feel the urge to listen, to understand their vision, but something within you holds you back. The room is filled with the young healers' energy, their ideas radiating like sparks, ready to ignite into something new, something bold. You stand at the threshold, watching them speak, your students, your future. The young healer who spoke first turns toward you, her eyes shining with hope. "What do you think?" she asks, her voice filled with the weight of her question. "You've been here longer than anyone. You've seen how the hospital has changed. What if we could push it even further? Imagine if the stories could grow beyond the pages, if the magic of the books could reach out to the outside world, blending with the lives of the people who read them. What if the books could become more than healers, more than teachers? What if they could become partners in the world's stories?" You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of their excitement, the eager energy that radiates from the group. They are full of hope, full of ambition. You remember the days when you were just like them, when you were the one dreaming of what the hospital could become. And yet, as you stand there, you feel a ripple of uncertainty deep within you. The hospital, as it is now, is a fragile thing. It is built on balance, a delicate harmony between the living and the written. You have seen firsthand what happens when that balance is disturbed. You have felt the wild surge of power that comes from merging too deeply with the magic of the books. You have watched the walls of the hospital tremble when the magic becomes too alive, too wild. You look around at the eager faces before you, feeling the weight of their expectations and dreams. They see the hospital as a place of endless possibility. You see it as a place of balance, a delicate structure holding together magic and humanity in perfect harmony. "What if we push too far?" you ask softly, your voice cutting through the excited chatter. The room falls silent, the young healers turning to you, waiting. "You see," you continue, "the books are alive, yes, but they are not just stories. They are living memories, histories, preservations of what has come before. If we allow them to grow too much, we may lose sight of the original purpose of this hospital. Healing requires restraint. To let the stories evolve beyond their pages may mean risking losing their essence." The young healer looks at you, her eyes filled with persistence. "But don't you see?" she says, stepping closer. "If we keep them contained, we'll never learn the true depth of their magic. We'll always be healers, not creators. This is our chance to push beyond what's known, to see what the books can really become." You feel it then, the familiar pull of the stories, their whispers in the back of your mind. You remember the chaos that once threatened to tear the hospital apart, the wildness that comes when the books become too alive. But you also remember the peace they bring when their magic is respected, when they are allowed to heal, to be a part of something larger without losing their essence. You close your eyes, listening to the hum of magic in the air, the soft pulse of the books, their steady heartbeat. "I understand your vision," you say, your voice steady. "But there must be a balance. The hospital can evolve, yes, but we must respect the roots from which it grows. It is not about pushing the magic forward blindly, but about guiding it gently. You must learn not only to create, but also to preserve. These stories, these books, they are the bridge between the world of imagination and reality. We cannot afford to lose the new foundation that holds them together." The room is quiet now, the young healers nodding thoughtfully. The weight of your words settles over them like a gentle, knowing presence. And so, you have found your place again. The hospital, the stories, the future, they all belong to the ones who are willing to guide them, to respect the delicate balance that sustains them. You are no longer just a book healer. You are the keeper of the hospital's soul, its legacy, a guide to those who will continue your work, not by pushing the stories beyond their limits, but by nourishing them, letting them grow within the safe boundaries of the hospital's walls. The next chapter is theirs to write, but they will write it carefully.